Why is that?
I didn't lock it.
Hey.
That's crazy. Damn, they're looking at you, dude. All right, you better get out of here.
Skirt.
All right, time for the interview. Lindsay Bernert,
What's up?
how was the drive?
It was a little rough, but it was awesome.
Got lost once, huh?
Once or twice.
But it's no big deal. We found the red gate.
No big deal. We didn't find the red gate, actually. We're still lost.
Just chilling on the car though, with the
Just
beautiful
chilling.
view behind
yeah,
you.
It's kind of nice. It's all right.
So what's next? What do you think Dave's gonna be like?
Dave will be, he's a nice guy, you know?
You've met him?
Yeah.
Oh,
When I was a wee little one.
but he could have changed.
That's true. People change, you know?
People do change, man.
Yeah, they do. Oh, here's the gate.
That's the gate. We're just a tiny bit lost right now. Could be somewhere out there. But I don't think this is the house. For some odd reason. Well, this can't be the right
Oh,
place.
this isn't the right place.
It's way too nice.
Look at this.
It's just an art studio.
Crazy.
Well, it's hard not to get inspired here for art. Oh my God. It's a cave?
I don't know what it is.
But for what?
Let's look.
Good idea. Dare to go in there.
Just stop.
It just stops right here? Oh shit.
This is where people were picking for gold. Has to be.
It wasn't bad.
Great to meet you. In 10 years?
10 years or so, I'd say.
Tyler.
Right?
Tyler, yeah.
to meet you.
And Lindsay?
Lindsay, yep.
Oh, okay.
Good to see you.
This is where when they come back from the mines, they'd stop here and drop off their samples. And he'd run the assays overnight. And then by next morning, they would get their answers.
Wow.
It's all gone.
Yeah,
And this is one of the newer ones, right?
yeah.
1920?
Just wasn't built as well, huh?
They made some mistakes. When we get up to the big house, I'll show you some things that they did wrong. But they knew what they were doing with the Adobe. It was the stucco that they didn't know how to handle.
Huh.
And they made some mistakes with it. And they did some of the buildings a little bit differently. Like the kitchen was done a little bit differently from this building, and it's in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
You know, just by doing things a little bit
A little bit different. It makes a big difference.
You make one little mistake and everything kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
You're gonna do a lot of things, and it's gonna fail a lot. You're only gonna come up with something profitable. Yeah, this was a piece of. Both of these were kind of worthless tanks. See, that one was leaking before they ever got it hooked up.
Oh, wow.
These are just worn out gas station. This one's a worn out gas station tank.
Oh, okay.
That one was another water tank that was used, but it was already almost rusted out
Wow.
when they brought it in here. Otherwise, you're up here and from about these cores are sitting here because they didn't show anything.
Right.
I'm holding this thing on and
Right. Yeah.
somebody win the lottery maybe
Yeah, and then come.
and then come to the rescue.
Yeah.
That's the safest way to do it.
Yeah, just get the head, except he's all coiled, so if
Do it, get it over with.
Yeah.
And people that get bit, 9 times out of 10 it's because they were playing with the snake.
Alright.
There's this one guy that was on the news one time, saw a Mojave rattler in the middle of the street. So he gets a trash can and he goes out and he grabs the snake to put it in the trash can. The snake bites him on the arm. He drops the snake. What does he do? He picks the snake up again. The snake bites him again on the same arm. And there's a picture of him at the hospital, and his arm is like a football.
Oh my god.
This big around. As soon as he gets out of the hospital, he's exactly the same. Yeah, my aim's not as good as it used to be. Yeah, he's a coontail.
How's that? Wow.
See the stripes?
Yep.
For the critters. Quiet, we won't see him.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you get, wait.
It's on the stairs, I see it.
We got another one.
Get the shovel. Alright, round 2.
If somebody were to come along and barefoot, step on his head and snake it, stick it there. Wow, they would be biting themselves. Well, that one sure gave us a lot of warning, though.
Yeah.
They had a lawn here and a gardener to mow the grass.
Oh, wow. Of course. Living the dream.
Oh, yeah. In 1920, Pat Fogarty was the guy who was working these claims. And a guy from New York named Frank Hyde came to Arizona, and he was tired of being a stockbroker and he wanted to become an Arizona gold miner. So he came here and contacted Pat Fogarty about working on his claims. And the two of them got together and formed a partnership. And Pat Fogarty provided the claims here at Humbug, and Frank Hyde provided the money, and they went together into the mining business. Now, first thing they needed to do, there was a lot of work that had to be done. Roads had to be built, buildings had to be built, a mill site had to be built, all kinds of work had to be done. So they brought in a lot of help, mostly Mexican laborers. And they had about 200 people living here at Humbug doing all this activity. Now this is one of the first houses they built. This is what we call the big house. This was Frank Hyde and his family. This is where they were gonna live. And this is quite a beautiful house. For the time and place, this is a huge house. And it has nice grounds. It has a lawn out front. They had a lot of chairs and lounges and umbrellas and stuff out here, and they had this fixed up real nice. And they had a gardener to mow the lawn for them. Now here you can see what double Adobe.
Oh, I
Adobe
see.
is done.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 Adobe walls here, an inner and an outer. And there's a airspace in between. The airspace acts as the insulation.
Oh, interesting.
And the outer wall holds the heat out, and the inner wall holds the cool in.
Huh.
And it works really good.
Yeah. Cool place. Hope they're coming in. Wow.
This is crazy.
And this was the kitchen and dining room here.
The flooring is
It's a solid concrete slab. And all of this concrete was mixed by hand.
wow.
By Mexicans. And they poured a continuous pour from one end to the other. It probably took them about 2 weeks
Yeah.
to do this slab, a crew of maybe a dozen. Okay, there's real gold in quartz.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
Put that
the
in the
colors.
light. And you can see.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is
much
more silvery.
Yeah, yeah.
And pyrite has a cubic crystalline structure. So what that means is you get a lot, they're in little crystals.
Right, I see that.
So if you rotate it in the light, it sparkles.
Mhm.
You know, flashes, and then the flashes go away.
Right.
Gold isn't usually crystalline, so when you rotate it, it doesn't change that much.
Right.
If you go down in the creek, you can get gold that has eroded down into the creek.
Right, once it's already
thousands
washed.
and thousands of years ago, and it's been sitting down there waiting for somebody to come and dig it up.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. And see, there's some flour gold,
Oh yeah.
which is very tiny pieces of gold.
Same concept. It's just been more eroded, or
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
harder
lot.
to recover when it's this small. So what I do is, this stuff I just pick it out by hand.
right.
But this stuff I have a machine that can recover. Those pieces are just too small to get out by hand.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Here's what a nugget looks
Oh
like.
wow. That's cool.
This one has a little bit of quartz in it.
Right. That's good size nugget too.
Yeah, that's a 1/4 ounce.
Wow.
Now that one came from French Creek. And these 2 nuggets are the 2 biggest nuggets that actually come from this creek.
Oh, okay. Wow. And do these, you pull them out of the rocks, or are they really just
Nope,
nuggets that are found like
they're
that?
just down in the creek.
Wow.
They're found like that. Now occasionally you find a piece of gold that has a piece of quartz attached to it.
Right, okay.
Kind of pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But most of the
Did you
time...
remove it, or do you leave it
No,
as
no, no.
is?
Oh, no. I leave it.
Yeah.
Put it in. All the ones I've found so far have been pretty small. I
Right.
put them in a little bottle with water in it, and the water keeps the gold shiny.
Uh-huh.
And it also, this is called a magnifier bottle. The water in there acts as a magnifier and makes it look bigger. Any fortunes that were made mining here were made lode mining. But what the guys would do, they would play around with placer mining here,
Right.
mostly while they were waiting to get a job. Because the guys that worked here on mining and stuff, they moved around a lot, the workers. And so you kind of came here, and a lot of times there wasn't a job available, but if you just waited a while,
Someone would leave.
yeah, people were always leaving, and people were coming, so. And in the meantime, what do? Well, you might as well placer mine in the creek. You
Yeah.
might. I think the statistics I saw said that, well, during the Depression in the 1930s, if a guy had a good spot and he really knew what he was doing and he worked hard, he could make about 25 cents a day.
All right, yeah.
If he worked 16 hours a day.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Now, this is what's called a recirculating mini sluice. It's a little tiny sluice box. It's just like a regular sluice with riffles and carpet and the whole thing, but except it's real small.
Uh-huh.
And then you have water in buckets, and you just pump the water around through the buckets over and over again.
Right.
And then you can run, you can't really do what we call mining, but you can run samples and see how they turn out.
Right.
And so what I'm doing here, I've tried everything to find a spot where it might, a deposit that would pay, and it was unsuccessful. And now finally, one good thing about the drought is that this lets me go down deeper than I would be able to go if there was water in the creek.
Yeah.
And so I'm going down to see if there's any gold on the bedrock,
Deeper, right?
or enough gold that if you went down and you went all the way to bedrock and you cleaned off the bedrock, whether you could make it economic that way. And it turns out, man, there isn't nothing on bedrock either.
Really?
And I found a good
How
spot
deep
and
have you
everything.
gone now?
Oh, well, let's go take a look.
Yeah.
So you can see here, I've got a really, really good spot. It's the bedrock is rising right here.
Right.
It's got lots of cracks and crevices and stuff in it to catch if some gold came along, that it would get caught there. So this is a real good test.
Right.
And the bottom line is, there still ain't nothing. So after this, I'm kind of out of ideas.
How long have you been working with this idea?
This is my project this winter.
Okay.
So I started on this back in November, I think,
Right.
and I've been playing around with it. See, I'm finding good boulders
Yeah.
down there. The general rule is if you got big boulders, then you should have some gold. If there's any gold, then that's where it'll be.
Right.
And,
As it gets caught?
well, wherever the boulders drop out, that's the same place where the gold is going to drop out. It all
sense.
depends on the conditions in the creek. Water, in some places in the creek, water speeds up, and in other places in the creek, water slows down. And in the places where the water slows down, that's where the gold is going to drop out. it'll pick it up when it's running fast
Right.
and carry it. But when the water slows down,
It'll
the gold,
sink.
the gold sinks, drops out, and lands down here at the bottom. There ain't any gold anywhere.
Right, right.
And I was hoping that to find some way, some way to make it pay. And I've tried them all. So what I do is I dig a bucket of dirt down there, get all the rocks screened out of it.
Right.
Bring it up here. Turn on the sleeves.
Cool.
And then you just kind of put it through a little at a time. And all the dirt gets trapped in here, and the water overflows in there, and the pump is in the bottom of that one.
So anything heavy will get trapped in these crevices?
Yeah, you saw the ripples and stuff.
Right.
And
yeah.
and generally, any gold you find will be right up here
Okay, it'll
at the
sink
top.
pretty quickly.
You shouldn't find any down there. Clean this up a little bit. Get the rocks out of there. Turn it off. Then I run some. Oh, I see a piece of gold already. Now I didn't salt this or anything like that. Okay, this was what I'd call a pretty good bucket because I see a couple of pieces of gold there. Now do you see it?
Oh yeah,
Right there.
there it is.
And right down there in the corner.
Oh yeah.
Now I have to get my glasses out. Yeah, this is kind of unusual to have two pieces that size, but hey, you know.
Awesome.
There's a piece of lead shot.
Oh yeah.
From a shotgun. Yeah, after about 50 years it turns white. So this is from about 50 years ago. There you go. Actual Humbug gold. Now if you hold it sideways, like this, and look down into
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it acts as a
Magnifies it.
magnifying glass, and you can actually see it.
See it?
Yeah.
And especially if you get the sunlight on it,
Oh,
then
yeah.
it'll show up real good. Cha-ching! The first guy to mine here, his name was Charlie Champy, and he came prospecting. He was working at Tip Top, the big silver mine over here. And on the weekend, he would come prospecting looking for his own strike. And he found a little showing right here, and so he started a mine. And this was his first mine. This one this was a shaft that went straight down, about 30 feet, and they were following a little stringer. And then he found another showing right over there about 50 yards. And that one was a tunnel that went into the ridge. And I think that was the one where he hit a 2,000-ounce pocket. Yeah.
Good size.
That's not bad.
Today's prices, that would be about $2 million.
Oh.
Goodness.
Okay, so that was his first strike.
Right.
And
And that was what year?
1882.
Okay.
Two.
And when he had that strike, then he brought the wife and kids, and they moved in here, and they started an operation. They hired people. They had prospectors out looking for more strikes.
Right.
They made another strike up over the ridge in this direction, a mine called the Sidewinder.
Okay.
They hit a 1,000-ounce pocket there.
Wow.
Man.
Another
And,
Another $1 million
and-
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, when you're the first guy there, you can find gold just laying on the ground
Yeah.
because
No one's been looking for it.
nobody's been there. And there was the second guy there, not so much.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
It's the
Most of it's
first guy.
been gone.
Yeah. So he scooped up on the strikes that were showing on the surface. And then he made a third strike up over the top here at the mine. You guys still want to go up to the...
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
He called it the Mountain Chief at the time. And he made the strike there, and they hit a 5,000-ounce pocket. Yeah, but if I hit the big one and had all the money, I could build a house right up on top there where the Perro is, and have a 360-degree view of probably the last real wilderness left in Arizona. Okay, we're up on the mill site here. This is equipment that was brought in for a mining attempt that was made in 1991 to 1993. There's a lot of equipment here. This was never actually used because no gold was ever mined during this attempt. But a lot of stuff was brought in here. You see conveyors here. You see a big ore bin right there. On the other side of that ore bin is a 100-ton ball mill sitting there. Nice piece of equipment. And beyond that is some concentrating equipment and various vacuum pumps and things like that that would have been used in the milling operation had it actually gone that far. This is a concentrator for concentrating gold, and the way it works is it sits at a slight angle, and a lot of water is run down through the top of this, and there's a moving belt on here that has grooves in it, and the grooves act like traps for the gold. So the belt slowly moves this way, the water goes that way, the material goes in on top, and the water washes the light material away. The heavy material, such as gold and black sand and iron and stuff like that, gets trapped in the little grooves, and as the belt comes around, it goes around this wheel, and the heavy concentrates fall into this bin down here. So what you're doing is you're removing non-gold materials out that end and keeping the heavy materials on this end.
Is that just someone's...
It's a hand. They made a cutout of a hand. I don't know whether they wanted the piece that they cut out, obviously because they left this here.
Yeah.
So they wanted a piece that looked like a hand.
I just mess with people.
I don't know. Like I say, this whole thing was a scam. They were having fun.
Yeah.
They like to come up here, drink beer,
Yep.
tell stories, scratch, spit,
Yeah. That's awesome.
chew, smoke,
Living the
do
good life.
all this stuff that guys really want to do but don't dare.
Yeah.
This is a 100-ton ball mill. When I say 100 tons, that means it will process 100 tons of ore in an 8-hour period. Now that's not really a fixed figure because it all depends on the ore that you're milling. If it's very hard ore, then you're not going to run 100 tons in 8 hours. But if it's reasonable ore, that's sort of an average figure. And what it is, it's run by an electric motor, which is on the other side there, through a set of gears, and it's just a big tumbler, big rock tumbler. It turns around, and you put in big steel balls about this big, and they go inside the tumbler. You put your ore in there, and as the thing turns, it raises those balls up, and they drop here over and over again as the thing turns, crushing that ore. And once you crush it, then you're ready for concentration.
Cool.
After that. Then you take that crushed material, run it through there to extract the large pieces of gold out of it. And then you have other things when you get down to this really fine pieces that you can't get out with the concentrator, then you have flotation to get those little tiny pieces out. And that piece of equipment right there is a flotation tank. Now, beyond Charlie Champion Johnny Lee, there's a space of time in there that I don't know much about. And I do know that in 1920, that Pat Fogarty had these claims and was working them with a small crew of his own when Frank Hyde came into the country. Now, Frank Hyde was a rich guy from New York, a city guy. He was a stockbroker, but I think he was really a country boy at heart, because he wanted to come to Arizona and go out in the wilderness and live out there and be a gold miner, and that's really what he wanted to do. He was never happy as a stockbroker in New York. And his family was rich. He came from money, so he had a lot of money, and he was just the right guy to come along at just the right time. He partnered up with Pat Fogarty, who was living here and had these claims, and he brought a big infusion of money into the operation. This is what got the roads that we come and go on were built with Frank Hyde's money. These buildings up here, he had 200 people living here at that time, all of them on his payroll, working on building the buildings, building the roads, starting mines, built a whole mill site whole brand new mill site up on the hill with modern equipment. He had a modern rod mill. He had water tanks up there. He still pumped water from the hand dug well down here to use in his mining operation. He started a whole new mining boom here. Now, he never actually found enough gold to pay for all the work that he did.
Right.
But he didn't care about that because he had plenty of money anyway, and he was living the life that he wanted to live. And until 1934, they prospected and mined here. Now, he did have one big strike. They hit a 1,000-ounce pocket in a mine over in Rockwall called the Little Annie. And the word was that this pocket was very rich but very small. He said the whole pocket all fit in one ore car.
Wow.
So that was 1,000 ounces of gold in a piece of ore maybe this big, and so that would have been very pretty ore. The way it works is miners don't like to dig straight down because then they have to haul everything up in buckets, and that's really slow. What they want to do is they want to come out here and tunnel in underneath it and then stope, is what they call it, stope upward. They can just use gravity to drop it down right into the cart and take it on out and load it up and ship it and bring the cart back, and they're moving much more ore much faster. So what they did up there, the 5,000 ounces came out of the first level, which is the first 100 feet, where they went down and they tunneled in 100 feet down, and then they stoped up to the surface. Then at that point, it was still good. So they went down another 100 feet, dug another tunnel, the second level, and came in and stoped it up to the first level. And it was still pretty good there. So they went back down another 100 feet to the third level. And they tunneled in the tunnels get longer each time.
Right.
And they tunneled in 500 feet and then stoped it up to the second level. Now the first level up here, it's all caved in. It's just a rock pile. We can't get into that. The second level is partially caved and not safe to go into. But the third level, the one that's 500 feet long, that is still solid and stable, and that's the one that we're going to go into. Okay, we're up at the Perro Bonito now, which used to be called the Mountain Chief, and we're on the top of the ridge. Now, the original discovery was made up at the very top of this hill right here, and the gold went straight down, and they mined it straight down. And the 5,000 ounce strike was made right up here. There's 3 levels to this mine, and they go down, and we're going to go down this road right here to the 3rd level and go in there and take a look. Never get tired of looking at it.
Sure.
This is beautiful. But it was taken before Dave practice here. Going up is much
Yeah.
Here we are at the Perro Bonito. We hiked a little bit up here. We're a little bit tired, but hey, we got here. And this is the mine right here. This mine was built in the 1920s and was completed in 1934 is when they quit mining on this. And well, I'm going to tell you how the ore cars, you can see one right there in the mine, they would come out on this track and go out onto the loading platform, which is right there. Now, if there's a truck underneath the platform, if the cart has ore in it, you would dump it through that hole in the middle of the platform into the truck. If the car has waste on it, you would just take it right on out to the end and dump it over the side. I don't know what we're going to do about this.
What do you usually do when you come across this?
Usually they're not under the ore car, they're a little farther down there, and I got a big piece of rail that I use to whack him with, and then I kill him and throw him out.
Yeah, I can't find anything very long.
Boy, he's a buzzer. Boy, he's hard to see. I still have not seen him. Oh, I hate doing this. This is as dangerous as it gets.
We better off avoiding it?
We can't. Oh, there he is. I see him now. He's not under the car. He's over there. We're just waiting to strike.
Yeah.
And it's not a coontail. I think it's a blacktail.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna
do this.
extend this thing out one more. Very good.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Just crush the head.
Okay, I've got him by the head. Oh, I hate to kill this guy because he's so pretty. But you didn't give me any choice. This is the black. This is why they call him blacktail.
Yeah.
This little section here.
Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty.
Well, he's cold. Feel how cold he is.
Oh, wow.
I'm amazed that he would rattle that much when he's so cold.
Yeah.
When you go into the mine, you take your tag off of this side and put it on this side. And then when you come out of the mine, you put it back. That way, if anything happens in the mine, this is a system that is still in use in mines today.
Oh, yeah.
If anything happens in the mine, all you have to do is look at the board to tell who's in
still
there.
in.
Exactly who's in there. A neat thing about this mine is when they dug this tunnel, they were going toward a place 500 feet away.
Okay.
But what they did was they followed the vein out here, and they said, well, let's just dig in, find the vein, and then follow the vein to where we're going.
Yeah.
And
That's smart.
the reason they did it that way is they were hoping to hit other gold deposits along the way. And sure enough, right away, they hit one there, and they hit one up here,
Oh, wow.
So this goes 100 feet down.
100 feet down.
And there was gold down there?
Yeah, there was gold all the way down. They just followed it down.
That's crazy.
And they stopped at 100 feet, and then they mined it up. When a geologist, they were always trying to sell the mine or survey the mine or things like that, and they would send a geologist in, and he would come in here and he would take samples. Now, there's nothing more embarrassing for a geologist than to have a sample turn out to be good, but then not remember where it came from.
Oh, gosh. Yep, that makes
So,
sense.
when they take a sample, they give it a number, they put the number right on the wall, and they put a mark right here on the ceiling to show exactly where that sample came from. Geologists have a saying that even when all the indicators for gold are excellent, the occurrence of gold is still rare. And you see this, all this lumber over here on the left. This is an ore bin. And you see there's a covering up there, a bunch of timbers up there with a hatch in it. What they would do is they would go up there and they would drill and load their charges up there and then come down and then close that hatch. When the charges went off, the ore would fall down onto that platform and they would push it down into this bin and store it up in this bin. And then they could let it out of the bin right down here into the ore cars.
Wow.
And so if you were to continue this on, there's every reason to believe that you would hit other deposits, continue to hit. Now here's a really big bug right there. See that cavity
Oh yeah.
in the rock?
You were telling us about that.
And this is the end. This is called the face. This is where they were working last. And you can see the ends of the last drill holes where the last chutes were made.
Yeah.
Okay. Now how this is done is they have a drill, steel. It's just a round steel rod that has been hammered by the blacksmith to a chisel point on the end. And they place it against the rock and you hit it with a 3-pound hammer. Bang! And it chips out a little bit of rock. You turn it a little bit. You hit it again. Bang! Chips out a little bit of rock. And you keep turning it and you keep hitting it until you chip out a hole. And you keep on going like that, and you have a set of 3 of these drills of various lengths. You start with a short one, and when that gets into the rock, you pull that out, you go to the next longer one, and you keep on going until that hole is 3 feet deep into the rock.
Wow.
Okay?
At that point.
Then you do it 7 more times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. When we go and stand underneath the last stope here, you'll feel the air moving. It's going up the shaft
Oh, okay.
and out the second level.
Oh, that's why it's so.
Because the second level is still open.
Wow, this is so cool.
So it makes it real comfortable in here. You could
This is
live live in here.
Yeah.
Feel the air move?
Yeah. Oh god.
Still gonna make me right in front, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking right into his face in the windshield when his engine died. And now he was a big guy.